before I take us through this journey to connect visual literacy with integrated media, I want everyone to take a step back and think about the first time you ever experienced film. For me personally, I remember back in 2004, I was sitting in a dimly lit room with 20 other people. In one hand, I had $80 worth of popcorn, and in the other hand, an extra small Coke that cost $20. And I remember the lights getting dim, everyone getting quiet, and the projector started. And I saw The Incredibles for the very first time. Got to see them for 2 hours, running around and fighting it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Now, I'm sure it's pretty weird to think about these weird facilities we used to use called a movie theater. But this is one of my first memories and my first experiences with film. And it's brought me to where I am today. My name is Jason Bowman, and I am a senior integrated media major at the University of Mount Union. And today I want to talk about how visuals are used within film and movies, and how having visual literacy enhances the experience of movies and film. Now, if you aren't aware, integrated media, it's not a very well-known major. I'm sure Jason can understand. I have to explain a lot about what it is, and sometimes it's hard to find the words. But this is the Mount Union's statement on what the integrated media major is. So the Bachelor of Arts in Integrated Media degree from the University of Mount Union integrates a variety of topics from foundations of communication and public speaking to the journalistic, audio, and video production skills necessary to succeed in design and media outlets. Now, what this is basically saying is that the University of Mount Union cultivates a pathway for students that are going through integrated media to use communication basics like public speaking and enhance them to work with fields such as journalism, filmmaking, the use and edit of audio, and what we're going to talk about today, visuals. Now, I'm sure you're sitting there and thinking, now Jason, how can you connect visuals with movies? Now, my response would be, have you ever seen a movie? Because movies obviously use images. In fact, I don't think a movie could be even considered a movie if there's no, images being used. In our culture, movies are huge. I want to say every year, hundreds of movies are released, every year, excluding 2020. But even in, this pandemic, we still have these film cultures and aspects. Still, they're very vital. They're still around. Me, speaking personally, when quarantine first started in March, I took that time to watch some movies, classics, some of my favorites, and it made me start to think about what a director's purpose is, what they're trying to say from their film to an audience. And that brings upon what is called the author's motive or the director's purpose, which can be explained with PIE, or persuading, informing, or entertaining. Persuading, trying to get someone to do something, like we were talking about for the last speech, the presidential campaigns, the ads, trying to get people to vote for a certain person. Informing, educational how-to YouTube series, and entertaining big summer blockbuster films. Every movie you see has a purpose and is trying to reach an audience and try to make them feel something, some kind of emotion. Persuading, from McDonald's trying to make you eat a quarter pounder at 3 a.m. in the morning. Trying to inform you, maybe I should buy a shelf today, that kind of thing. It's everything you see has some kind of purpose to try to get you to feel some kind of emotion. And with film, emotion is everything. Every scene, everything you see is trying to make you feel something. And that's why being a cameraman or a director is so pivotal to filmmaking, because every little thing you see means something. And a cameraman has a lot of tasks. They have a lot of duties, a lot of responsibilities. The three that I think really speak to creating this emotion with visuals are camera placement, framing or cropping, and focus. These three are what really makes an emotion come alive, really makes you feel something while you're watching a movie or a film or anything cinematography. So first I want to talk about camera placement. And one of the best examples I think I could use is what I like to call the date scene. So right now we have two images from the movie Whiplash, produced by Sony Pictures. On the first image, we have a third-person perspective, or a POV, whatever you want to call it, and the second image is a first-person perspective. In the third person, you're distant from the scene. You're basically looking and seeing what is happening. I like to say, you're kind of like a nosy neighbor. You want to see what's going on. You want to hear what they're talking about and see the action take place. While as in the first person perspective, you are integrated into the action. You are literally in the scene. Basically, you are on the date with Miles Teller. You are there understanding what is going on, and you are seeing everything that's taking place personally. Obviously, there are two scenes from the same movie, but an author can fluently go between these two to give a different aspect of the scene, to make them feel something different from how you look at the scene, which I think is really interesting. And this goes into the next aspect, which is cropping or framing. Now, in this scene, there's not a whole lot you can see. Basically, the only things you can make out are a man and a flame. Everything else is shrouded in darkness. You have no idea what creepy crawlies are walking behind him or what's about to attack him, because it's cropped so perfectly that you have no idea what's going to happen. In horror movies, they use this so well because, like I said, you have no idea what can happen. It puts you up perfectly for the unexpected jump scare. So obviously, as I said, cropping and framing is pivotal because it makes you get that suspenseful, what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. And then finally, focus. Now, focus is extremely important to any movie because obviously movies should be in focus. You don't want to watch 2 hours of a blurry mess. But focus can be used in a number of ways. There's literally hundreds of ways to use focus. And sometimes directors use this as the base of how to create their own technique. Like for instance, Orson Welles was very well known for the deep focus shot, while directors like John Renoir were very well known for their shallow focus shots. For instance, the image on the left is Orson Welles' movie Citizen Kane. This is deep focus. You can see literally everything. The characters in the foreground, the objects on the table. You can even see each individual wooden plank on the wall, and especially the child in the back. Everything is aware. And this is a way of saying that everything in the scene is important. Everything that you need to know is visible and able to be seen clearly. While on the right, we have a scene from BBC's Doctor Who, where maybe you can make out some of the things in the back, a couple people, trees, walls, but obviously the main thing that you're supposed to be focusing on is the main character, or in this case, Doctor Who. He is the one talking, he's the one giving a speech right now, so you're supposed to have your eyes on him. Focus is really important because it makes the movie more clear. It's the way of the director telling you what's important to notice. It can be like different objects or different, just different scenes in general. It lets you know what's supposed to catch your eye. So now that we've gone through camera placement, cropping, focus, I kind of want to use this in a little activity. I want to see if you're paying attention a little bit. So we have this scene from Get Out by director Jordan Peele. Now I think this expertly uses all three topics that I just talked about. Now I'd like someone to just take a stab at what you think the director is trying to say in this movie, or in this scene right here. What emotion's coming out? Grayson, what do you think?
Well, the director is using shallow focus and he wants you to focus on him right there.
For sure. Yeah, so shallow focus, obviously. Maybe you can make out a wall or a curtain in the background, but the focus is the main character. Obviously, that's all you can really see. Talking about camera placement, obviously first person. You're very much into this action. He's staring at you like you are in that first person perspective. Cropping, you have absolutely no idea what else is in that room with him. You don't know if there's people on the sides. You don't even know what he's looking at. You just know he's staring blankly at something. And to talk about shallow focus again, the most in-focus shot of this entire still is the eyes. And they make you look they make you look into his eyes. It's almost like he's looking into your soul, which is, very, not horrifying, but it just, it gets to you. So, like I was saying, visuals connects with films and cinematography so expertly. It's a way of the director telling you what emotion you should feel like during a certain movie or during a certain scene. Movies make you laugh, cry, be happy, feel sad. It's a way of just making you feel something and telling you how you should be feeling during a certain scene. I want to tie this all up with a quote that I really thought worked really well from famous director Stanley Kubrick. He said, "A film is, or should be, more like music than like fiction. It should be a progression of moods and feelings. The theme, what's behind the emotion, the meaning, all that comes later." Images have power, and it's important to understand what they mean so that we can go further and experience it in a different way. Thank you.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.